some people are kind of like, I can't share my data, which that's fine. You don't need to. Like, it's not a requirement yet. And like, even in the most extreme cases, data deposit is the only requirement, not open data sharing per se. But we're seeing people share methodologies or their survey questions as a data set so that someone could take your research, run a similar study, and then compare results. So stuff like that is really exciting too, that we're seeing like open collaboration and research across different disciplines and within a discipline even.
We shouldn't expect every field or every methodological approach to really be the same. And they are different for reasons. I mean, difference is important in research, and difference actually allows for things not to be boring, right? So I don't know why we want everything to look the same. So that's still my perspective on repositories and qualitative data appearing everywhere.
I think the implications for this availability of data is, I mean, I'm a strong believer in secondary data analysis. I think if the data are out there, it will provide so many opportunities for researchers to use these and connect to an individual level data set that they might have. And I think it helps to erase some of the overlap or inefficiencies that have been happening amongst researchers.
I think some of the greatest considerations are whether we have actual permissions and just making sure that we are not inappropriately using the ATI documents that we are receiving. So we found that the best way was to develop these summaries. We imagined that if we were to develop a repository, it might be more helpful to just share the metadata or even the Excel sheets where we've documented how long it's taken to receive the request, which requests we've conducted, and those can be used in very different ways. And you know, we're noticing that there are new projects emerging that are doing similar things that aren't necessarily as worried about libel or having any issues with copyright. So that's been great to see more folks in the arena.
So for example, the DMTI spatial data that we use provide information on education facilities, rec facilities, religious institutions, food stores, and then different safety outlets like police and fire, for example, right? Well, data that have been used in studies, and I know this has been in Quebec, but also out west, that focus on just food stores, for example, right? But they end up trying to collect data from what would commonly be the community information source, right? And so that might be a 411, right? Where they include the information of the location, where this is just a much more efficient way to get those data and have something that's now standardized across than other people who are doing research on food store availability. So I think the implications will be quite profound once we get there.
As much as we are very interested in developing the Tech Lobby archive, I don't think we're as concerned about making it open to the public if journalists are now, you know, sharing many of the access to information requests that they have gathered. So that allows us to pivot a little bit in terms of the scope in which we feel that we need to share the particular documents.
I think qualitative data is probably the most sensitive because again, it's like people are sharing with you their perspectives and experiences and life stories. Even if you blot out their names and everything, you could still point to certain elements of it that could lead you to someone somewhere. So, I mean, it's really super sensitive, and that's my approach as a PR. I'm like, let's not even get opened out that kind of worms right now, because, you know, posting transcripts and excerpts of, you know, fieldwork data online is, for now, it's not the best way to go, at least for our project. I don't know, I mean, other qualitative researchers might be doing it right now, but I don't think it applies in the same way.
So something that we've talked about is the availability of that to other scholars in the global north, other scholars in the global south, and what does that mean? So what does it look like, and what does it mean? And the very personal ethics, and I don't mean the research ethics, the very personal ethics of taking a story from its life world and using it in a way that it using it in a different way?
I haven't had a positive experience. I've done it in 2 projects. I was working in another project in relation to the child commercial sexual exploitation of children. Very sensitive, very political, very important, and how the data was sanitized, it pained me. How the data was sanitized and how it was sort of simplified into how the commercial sexual exploitation of children is an economic exchange. It kills me.
So we've talked about sharing the research questions, sharing the processes for developing collaborations, but I don't know that we would share like an open source data, just because, well, also that would have to be in the future because we didn't plan for that. But I think that it's something that we're thinking about and what that would mean even in terms of our own engagement. So when we're planning a project, how is it that we would talk about with people and with collaborations that other people may have access to this data and the storytelling and these different pieces? I don't know that we would work towards that, but I mean, it's something that we're talking about.
Research is both personal and political in relation to how committed, how passionate you are to whatever research you're doing, or it's just part of your job. And that's the bottom line. Is it part of your life project or it's a job?
This series is brought to you by SPARC, a Center for Social Research Innovation.